let's move and answer next week. So they are better to wait till the next week to get a confirmation. Okay, and I will move to the next point. Figure 2.2 illustrates the various competitive forces business might encounter, as well as the competitive strategy that can be adopted to counteract such forces. Now here onwards we are going to look at some important aspects in relation to competition. And when we talk about competition, the competitive forces and competitive strategies are very critical. So we first need to have an understanding about these competitive forces and competitive strategies the organizations can utilize. And thereafter, we can look at how we can incorporate information technology to support the particular competitive strategies, so that we can gain competitive advantage. So first we'll look at the particular figure, figure 2.2, competitive forces and strategies. And here we can see competitive forces on the the x-axis here, and y-axis you can see competitive strategies. And there are 5 competitive forces: rivalry of competitors, threat of new entrants, threat of substitutes, bargaining power of customers, bargaining power of suppliers. And then competitive strategies, you have 5 main strategies: cost leadership, differentiation, innovation, growth, alliance, and there is a category called other strategies. So we will look at why they are important for an organization. Now both these aspects, competitive forces and competitive strategies, are very important, and we'll see why they are important and how we can utilize them in our organizations. Then so we will start with the threat of 5 competitive forces. A company can survive and succeed in the long run only if it successfully develops strategies to confront 5 competitive forces that shape the structure of competition in its industry. Now, the competition is basically prevailing within a particular industry, and that industry, the structure of competition in a particular industry is shaped by something called 5 competitive forces. So as I mentioned earlier, competition is specific to an industry, and the structure of the particular competition is shaped by competitive forces. And so therefore we have to first look at the particular 5 competitive forces, and because it shapes, so it basically constructs the competition that is prevailing in a particular industry. And it was actually Professor Michael Porter who introduced these particular concepts somewhere in early 1980s, the competitive forces and then the competitive strategies. But later on, the competitive strategies, I think, were evolved. I think maybe the Professor Michael Porter introduced a couple of competitive strategies, but some other competitive strategies were evolved later on with research and with the contribution of some other authors. Then the next point says, in Michael Porter's classic model of competition, any business that wants to survive and succeed must effectively develop and implement strategies to counter the particular 5 forces. Now, according to Michael Porter, now these 5 forces are there. in an industry. And so in order to face the particular five forces, so in order to counter the particular five forces, we need to develop strategies. So that is his argument, and that is his view. So therefore, the as highlighted here, the in a particular industry where there is competition, the particular five forces will exist. And those five forces are the rivalry of competitors within its industry, the threat of new entrants, the threat of substitute products, the bargaining power of customers, and bargaining power of suppliers. Now, if we look at one by one, the rivalry of competitors within its industry. Now, when it comes to any industry, usually you will find two or more competitors operating there, or two or more organizations operating there. So when there are two or more companies operating in a particular industry, naturally there will be a competition built up between the particular competitors, or rivalry built up between the particular competitors. So therefore, this is something natural which you can identify in any industry where there are two or more players competing with each other. But the rivalry of competition may not be available in a monopolistic situation where there is only one company operating in a particular industry. So if you take in Sri Lanka, and in relation to say railway industry, there is no competition because it's a government monopoly. And if it is say water distribution, there is government monopoly, so therefore there is no competition. But in most of the other industries, you usually find the competition exists because there are many players operating in that particular industry. So therefore, this is, as I mentioned earlier, it is something natural when there are two or more players operating in a particular industry. The competition or rivalry among the competitors is natural. Then threat of new entrants. So this is another force that will operate in a particular industry, and there is a possibility that new entrants will come into the particular industry. So that will be a threat to the existing competitors, the existing players in the particular industry, because when a new entrant will come into the particular industry, the competition among the competitors will increase, because the new entrant usually will come up with new technologies, new systems, new knowledge, new skills, and so on. So therefore, basically it will be a threat to the existing competitors operating in that particular industry. So therefore, this is another force the existing competitors or existing players will have to face. Then the threat of substitute product is another force that will prevail in a particular industry. And so maybe we have a traditional or conventional product that is sold in the particular industry, but there can be substitutes offered either by the existing companies or even by the new entrants. So if there is a substitute product offered by a particular company, then customers may be attracted to the particular substitute products if the customers start valuing certain aspects of the particular substitute product. Now, in the substitute product, the cost can be less compared to the conventional product, or the usage can be easier compared to the conventional product. Or there can be some other features that are associated with the substitute product, which is not associated with the conventional product. So therefore, the customers may be attracted to the particular substitute product from the conventional product or products because of those different features or aspects that are available there. So then, so that will be a problem for the companies which basically sell the conventional product only. Then the bargaining power of customers is another force which is basically operating in an industry. So this basically looks at the extent to which the customers have bargaining power. What sort of bargaining power the customers has. So again, the bargaining power of customers can change from industry to industry depending on the circumstances they are. And there are certain maybe examples we can take in relation to the bargaining power of customers. And if we say if the price is transparent in a particular industry, if the price is transparent, indicating that price of different sellers are transparent to the customers. Now this has become true, especially with internet. And when you go to the internet, you are in a position to easily compare the prices between different sellers. So then we say that the bargaining power of customer is increased because customers know the prices offered by different vendors or different sellers, and customers can easily identify the sellers who offer at a lower price, and then customers can purchase from those sellers who offer at a lower price. So therefore, the customer's bargaining power can depend upon different conditions. One is, of course, the visibility of the price or transparency of the price. So another one aspect is bargaining power of suppliers. Whether the suppliers are in a position to bargain with their buyers, so it can be the manufacturers, for example. Now, if you consider this one, bargaining power of supply, if there are, say, limited number of suppliers in a particular industry, naturally the bargaining power of suppliers will go up. Now, the term supplier basically is associated with a particular company who sells to a manufacturer usually. So therefore, we should not get confused with the term supplier and the seller. And the term seller is basically associated with the customers. Now the sellers or the vendors sell to the customers, and suppliers basically sell to the manufacturers. So therefore, don't get confused with those two terms, seller and supplier. And now I need to mention one other thing is that when Michael Porter developed this particular model in 1980s, and it was the manufacturing sector that was dominating in the particular economies. So in 1980s, it was the manufacturing sector that was developed in the particular economies, so that was dominating in the particular economies. And then these models were developed based on the research done in the particular manufacturing sector, especially. So therefore, this particular five forces model is very much relevant to manufacturing companies. So therefore, we may find it somewhat difficult to apply the particular five forces model, especially for the service sector, because for service sector, we may not be in a position to identify suppliers who supply to manufacturers. So therefore, that also you have to keep in mind when you analyze something utilizing this model, because this was primarily developed focusing on the manufacturing sector companies. So this is a general introduction about the five forces, which was developed by Professor Michael Porter in early 1980s. And we can move to a particular video which will illustrate about the five forces more. And thereafter, if there are any questions, I think we can discuss about the five forces. I think the video will also help you to solve some of the problem that you have related to these five forces.
Doing great. So far, we've covered a great deal of important topics.
Do you hear the sound of the video?
Yes, sir, we can hear that.
Okay.
Okay, we're doing great. So far, we've covered a great deal of important topics. We learned about the role of strategy, about the purpose of a company's goals, mission and vision statements, about the different stages of the industry lifecycle model, and about Porter's 5 Forces framework. That's awesome! In this lesson, we will reinforce what we've learned about Porter's 5 Forces model by applying it in practice. Our task will be to analyze the global sportswear industry. So, let's get started. The sportswear industry is a mature market that shows no signs of decline. People need clothing and love wearing sports apparel in their free time, both outside and at home. In the last few years, the industry has experienced a steady growth, and the total market is expected to reach $180 billion by 2020. Globalization, economic growth, favorable fashion, and style trends play a positive role for the current growth the market is experiencing. So, if we have to imagine the industry life cycle graph we saw earlier, the industry is in this phase right here, where the market is still increasing, but the industry is in its mature phase and the companies in it are profitable and generate stable cash flows. The pie is still growing, and most companies are happy. Right. Let's take off our rosy glasses now and look at the competitive environment in the sportswear industry, shall we? As you remember, that's the force at the very center of the 5 Forces model. These are the companies competing in the industry. There are a few names recognizable at a global level. Nike, Adidas, Asics, Under Armour, Puma, and Lululemon are some of the bigger firms out there. Nike and Adidas own several other notable brands that you've probably heard of. Nike owns Converse, while Adidas owns the Reebok brand. There are probably thousands of other smaller firms competing at a local level. Proof that the industry is not concentrated is in its concentration ratio. Previously, we learned a concentration ratio of the first 4 players in an industry of over 80% means the industry is highly concentrated. Well, this is not the case for the sportswear market. The combined share of the top 4 players in this chart accounts for 38% of the total industry turnover. The 2 global giants in this industry are Nike and Adidas, with a market share of 20.1% and 12.4% respectively. Asics and Under Armour complete the top 4 list, but have a significantly lower amount of sales, 2.7% and 2.6% of the total market. The fragmentation of this market and the presence of a few global giants mean the other competitors can compete with established global brands at a local level only. As with any mature market, brand names and marketing efforts play an important role, and smaller companies cannot keep up with the level of investments Nike and Adidas can afford. There isn't a price war in the industry, as the 2 top players offer differentiated products sold at a premium compared to the goods sold by local producers. The driving force in this competition is brand recognition and quality perception. The threat of new entrants is relatively low. A new competitor isn't likely to intimidate established players. Nike, Adidas, Asics, and Under Armour have invested billions of dollars in marketing communication. Their brands are global. Therefore, a new entrant with significant ambitions must spend a lot of money to compete in the market. In addition, the new company must invest in human capital in terms of designer teams, production personnel, and other employees who have the necessary know-how for the creation of sports apparel sold worldwide. Not an easy task, right? So, the barriers to entry are significant if we consider the global market. However, new companies will have a much easier task if they want to compete at a local level. Local competition requires limited amounts of resources, and usually, it is much easier to access existing distribution channels at a local level. If a company aspires to be a global player, perhaps the way to do it is by entering a smaller niche of the market. This requires a smaller investment and allows targeting a specific need of customers. We will explore this topic further in the marketing module of this course. But it makes sense from a strategic perspective too, right? Do not attack large and established companies with a full-scale attack, because this is too difficult to organize and finance. Instead, as a new competitor, target a particular market segment of customers and try to win a significant market share there. Okay, great. What about substitute products? Are they a big threat to the sportswear industry? Yes and no. There will always be demand for casual sportswear attire. However, changing customer tastes and styles may influence this demand in a negative way. Sportswear is trendy. Who knows if 10 years from now this will continue to be the case? Obviously, other clothing items are a valid substitute for sportswear clothing, but for now, there isn't significant pressure coming up from this force. Right. The remaining two forces we must examine are the bargaining power of suppliers and buyers. Let's start with suppliers. The main raw materials purchased by sportswear producers are cotton, other types of fabric, ethylene, synthetic materials, and rubber. Larger companies, like Nike and Adidas, can obtain cheaper prices from suppliers, which translates into a better cost structure compared to competitors, such as Under Armour, who buy smaller quantities of these products. So, smaller companies may have a harder time sourcing raw materials at a price that is competitive. One way to circumvent this issue is by using alternative fabrics, which means also coming up with an innovative product. The number of suppliers in the industry is relatively high. Therefore, we can conclude this force isn't creating too much pressure for companies operating in the industry. What about the bargaining power of customers? Given this is a business-to-consumers market, where end customers are millions of people, we can say customers cannot negotiate prices. However, it is also true that there are thousands of firms operating in the market. Customers know they have plenty of choice. So, right now, the brands established as global players have differentiated their products to create products of high quality and invest heavily in brand recognition. Companies understand this is a market in which the connection between sports fans and sports stars is strong. Recently, Nike signed a $500 million lifetime contract with LeBron James, one of its most famous testimonials. By creating branded products, market participants differentiate their brand and relate to the outstanding sport achievements of their testimonials. Turns out, the main driving force in the client-firm relationship in the sportswear industry is perceived value and brand recognition. Okay, so in summary, we can say the sportswear industry looks very good at the moment. Established brands like Nike and Adidas do not face too much competition at a global level. They have a good relationship with both suppliers and clients and are not threatened by substitute products and new entrants in the near term. This will do for now. We provided a holistic analysis of the sportswear industry. This is how we apply Porter's 5 Forces framework in practice. An awesome exercise, wasn't it? Thanks for watching.
Okay, I think you watched the particular video. Now, is there any question regarding the 5 forces faced by organizations? Now, according to the video, can you answer this question? Now, is there a competition among competitors?
Yes, sir.
Yes. No, there are, I think, global players. Now, there is a competition, so that is right. And what about the threat of new entrants for the particular sportswear industry? What did they mention there?
They had a threat from new entrants because even in locally and globally, there are some small people who are trying to enter into the market.
Yeah, yes. According to the video, they said locally, yes, there can be new entrant, but globally, they said usually the probability is very, very less because new company cannot compete globally with the particular companies like Nike, Adidas, ASICS, and so on. They have highlighted several leading players. And so what they told was globally, this is very, very difficult. But locally, yes, there can be a threat of new entrants. Then substitute products, what did they tell?
So there are a number of substitutes products which can create a threat.
Yeah, what they told us at the beginning, they said answer is both yes and no. Substitutes are the other. I think maybe if you take sportswear, now there is other shoes and so on, or the t-shirts, shoes and so on, which which customers can utilize. But when it comes to the specific, I think sportswear products right now, I think there are no direct substitute products available. So therefore, the threat of substitute product is also less in that particular industry. The bargaining power of customers, what did they tell there? The bargaining power, they told less because the customers cannot bargain, especially for prices and even for quality. They are not in a position to bargain, and they have to buy what has been offered or what is offered to them. So therefore, bargaining power of customer is less in that particular industry. If there are industries where the customers can bargain for price or quality and so on, then we can say that bargaining power of customer is high. So therefore, according to that particular segment of the sportswear industry, the bargaining power of customers is less. And bargaining power of suppliers,
So since cotton and other materials are taken from the suppliers as mentioned in the video, they are having a certain level of power.
As I remember, I think they didn't mention something like that because I think companies like Nike and Adidas, they said they purchase in very large quantities. And so usually then the suppliers are not going to bargain because the suppliers are benefited because they can sell in large quantities to those companies. So in such situations, the bargaining power of suppliers is also less. So I think according to the video, the bargaining power supply is less in that particular industry. And so therefore, in this particular industry, I think the existing, especially the global competitors, do not face much threat from these particular five forces. So the competition will be there, not five forces, the competition will be there. But when it comes to the other four forces, the threat is less. So, but it can change in a different industry. And if you take an industry like restaurant industry, what do you think? Restaurant or retail industry, the things can change. The rivalry is there. If you consider say retail industry, the rivalry of competition will be there. There will be many retailers selling the same products or similar products, and threat of new entrants when it comes to retail industry. Entering into that particular industry is not that difficult. The amount of money required is not that much. So then a new entrant can enter into retail industry much easily. So increasing the competition among existing competitors. And also threat of substitute products. Yes, there can be substitute products offered by retailers, certain retailers. So therefore substitute products can be there. And so that threat can also be there in a retail industry. And bargaining power of customers. So this is a question mark. Now, as I mentioned earlier, now there are many retailers operating on the internet. And when it comes to these e-commerce companies, definitely customers are capable of looking at the prices of different sellers. So then there the bargaining power of customer is high, we say, because customers can select the seller or the vendor who offers at the lower prices or lowest price. So, but when it comes to retail products, also the customers may not be in a position to bargain the price. Now, even if it is e-commerce business, the particular e-commerce business will specify a particular price, and the customers are not in a position to bargain for a reduction of the particular price. So therefore, that is also there. But if it is e-commerce business, the other side is also there. Price is transparent, increasing the bargaining power of customers. And also, can you mention another instance where the bargaining power of customers is increased? I mentioned on the internet for e-commerce businesses, when the price is transparent, we basically say that bargaining power of customers is increased. Can you mention any other instance where the bargaining power of customers is increased?
So is it an online platform or
Any platform? Sorry.
In China, Chinese market?
Why bargaining power of customers is increased?
Because of the quality of the product?
If the quality of the product is high, usually the customers will not have bargaining power. No?
Yes.
Now, when we say that if there are a large number of sellers selling the same product, so then usually bargaining power of customers is high, because customers can search for these different sellers and identify their prices and so on, and maybe even ask for price reductions and so on. So if there are a large number of sellers selling the same product, the bargaining power of customers is said to be high. Then bargaining power of suppliers, according to the video, we said it is low, but according to the retail, in relation to the retail industry, that can again depend upon a few factors. If there are many suppliers supplying the same maybe food or something like that, or the ingredients to not restaurant, we are taking retail industry, sorry. If it is retail industry, if there are many suppliers supplying the same product, same item, so then what will happen? If there are many suppliers supplying the same product to retailers, the bargaining power of suppliers will increase or decrease?
It will increase.
If there are many, it will decrease. Because again, if there are many suppliers, there will be a competition happening between the particular suppliers to catch the relevant, say, buyers, business buyers. And if there are limited number of suppliers operating in a particular industry, the bargaining power of suppliers will increase, because the particular business customers, they have little options. There are only a few suppliers to buy. So then the suppliers can dictate terms on them. So therefore, when there are a few suppliers in a particular market, then the bargaining power of the particular suppliers will increase. If there are a large number of suppliers, then the bargaining power of suppliers will decrease. But that depends upon the particular product, specific product. So if it is a product where there are a large number of suppliers, then the bargaining power of suppliers will be limited. If it is a product where there is only a limited number of suppliers, then the bargaining power of suppliers will increase. Okay, having said that, is there any question regarding these 5 forces? Now, one other thing I want to mention is that now, even though this particular model was introduced in 1980s, this is very much applicable even today. And this is one of the most used models used to analyze the present environment, also existing environment faced by the organizations. And so this is really useful even today. And applicability is, as I mentioned earlier, this is very much suitable for the manufacturing industry, manufacturing companies. But application is somewhat difficult when it comes to the service industry. Is there any question before moving forward? Okay. Now we are moving to the particular strategies, which was highlighted in this diagram, competitive strategies. I mentioned there are 5 main strategies and there are other strategies. So we are starting with the main strategies. So why do we need strategies? To counter the particular 5 forces. So what will happen if we cannot counter the particular forces? So we cannot survive in the particular industry. So if you cannot counter any of these 5 forces, you will not be in a position to survive in that particular industry in the long run. So therefore, countering these 5 forces will be very, very critical for any organization operating in any industry. And if you cannot counter any of the 5 forces, you will have to go out of business after some time. So how can you counter? It is by using strategies. So we have to use competitive strategies to counter these particular competitive forces. So with that in mind, we move to cost leadership. So that is one strategy. So what can we do under cost leadership, or what can an organization do? So again, it can focus on different aspects under this strategy. Become the low-cost producers, help suppliers or customers reduce costs, increase cost to customers. These are sub-strategies they can focus on. So they can become the low-cost producer. So they have to reduce their cost of operations, cost of processing. So thereby they are in a position to become a low-cost producer in that particular industry. So that can be the focus of them. They want to be the low-cost producer, and so therefore they are going to reduce their cost of operations, or help suppliers or customers reduce costs. So if this is one thing you can try on, or you can try this particular one also. You can help suppliers and customers to reduce their costs, or the costs incurred by suppliers and customers. Then the suppliers will be happy or the customers will be happy and they will continue to do business with this particular company. So that is one other strategy they can follow under cost leadership strategy. And also, if possible, they can think of ways of increasing cost to the competitors. So then the competitors will be in trouble and therefore they will be in a better position. So now I said this is a lowering cost of operation. This is lowering cost incurred by suppliers or customers. This is increasing cost to competitors. Then we are going to look at an example, Priceline users. Now Priceline is a company operating online. And you can go and see. It uses online seller bidding. So the buyer sets the price. Now, when it comes to most of the e-commerce companies, as I mentioned earlier, they will specify a specific price at which they sell their product or service. You can go to any e-commerce site. Usually, you have a fixed price there. If it is not an auction site, if it is an auction site, the price varies. But if it is not an auction site, there will be a fixed price. Whatever you are going to purchase, if it is a retail shop, whether it is a retail shop or whether it is restaurant or food selling company, and whether it is ticket selling company. So whatever it is, they have fixed prices. So then Priceline thought of a different model, and Priceline utilizes the same model where they offer certain products and services at a fixed price, but they offer another option to the customers. So that is the bidding option, the seller bidding. So the buyer sets the price. So here what happens is now Priceline mainly operates or mainly sells air tickets, and also they facilitate booking of hotels. So I think those are the two main businesses they are in, and you can go and see their website. And here they give an option for the buyer to specify a price. Now, suppose a particular buyer wants to travel from one place to another place, from one place to another destination, and then he needs to buy an air ticket. And usually there is a fixed price for these particular air tickets. The price can vary during maybe on different days. But usually when you go to a particular site at a particular point of time, there is a fixed price. So if the customer feels that the particular price is too high, then Priceline gives an opportunity for this particular buyer to set a price that he wishes to buy this particular air ticket. Suppose there is now I think Priceline, through Priceline you can't buy an air ticket to travel from Colombo to another destination. But suppose you are in a different country, suppose you are in the US and you want to fly from New York to London, and you search the prices in Priceline and you see a particular price. Suppose you see the price as $700 US. And you feel that that particular price is too high, and then you feel that you will fly there if you can buy the ticket at $500 US. So then you specify the price as $500 US, and the Priceline will accept that particular bid, and then they will not sell the particular. They will not sell the air ticket to you next day, and also this particular option may not be viable in some of the instances at all. But in some of the cases, it may work. Suppose now I said you are going to fly from New York to London, for example, and the original ticket price was $700 and you have offered 500. So that is your offer. So then when the particular date reaches, so maybe during the last 24 hours or 48 hours or 72 hours, so price line and the particular airlines can get an idea about whether the particular airline is going to be fully booked or not. So then depending on the demand pattern, they can identify when it comes to the last 72 hours or so, whether the particular flight is going to be fully booked or not. So then the airline can decide whether to accept this particular offer. Where you have specified the price of $500 to fly from New York to London, and they will also have certain calculation. They may accept an offer which is above their break-even point, and if this particular say $500 is above their break-even point, and rather than flying with vacant seats, they will be better off by accepting a passenger who has offered a lower price compared to the original ticket prices offered. So therefore, you may get this particular opportunity, but usually during the last minute. So therefore, if you are ready to fly, and you may get this opportunity during the last minute, indicating during the last 24 hours, so maybe a little bit more than that. So then you are in a position to fly. So similar conditions can apply for the hotel reservations also. So the hotels will have fixed prices at the beginning, but when the particular deadlines reaches, they know that whether their rooms are going to be fully booked or not. And also, as I mentioned earlier, depending on the prices offered by the particular customers, they can decide whether to accept it or not. So therefore, this is a new model that was introduced by Priceline.com, and it has worked, and customers utilize it. And to which category we can put it? Becoming low-cost producer, help suppliers or customers reduce cost, increase cost to competitors. Under which category we can take this example? That allows the customers to reduce cost. Okay, so this is where it applies. By asking the customer to set a price, customer will always set a lower price. Thereby you give the opportunity for the customers to reduce their costs. Okay, so these are the options you can think about. Now here, how can you reduce your cost of operations? In order to become low-cost producer, you basically need to improve on your costs, or you have to decrease the cost of operations. How can you do it?
So it means with a practical example.
Yeah, by basically, how do you reduce cost of operations?
So if you take an organization like Walmart, these days they are going to deliver their products by using that drones. Therefore, if we can use that IT systems like that, so the transportation cost and other costs can be reduced.
Yeah. So basically, I don't know whether utilization of drones are going to reduce the cost. If it is so, yes, you can take that as an example. But generally, what we say is that you need to improve the efficiency of your operation. By improving the efficiency, you are in a position to reduce your cost of operations. And also suppliers, again, you do transact with your suppliers. Then if you improve the efficiency of the transactions that you perform with your suppliers can also be benefited, whereby suppliers are in a position to reduce the costs incurred with the operations done by, say, your company. And also increasing cost to competitors. Suppose you are a leading company and you can make certain investments, some technological investments, and you can afford to do it because, say, you are a large company. But then the competitors will also be compelled to make the same investment. Otherwise, they will find it difficult to compete with your company. So that is an example where increasing the cost to competitors, because competitors are compelled to make certain investments which they did not say forecast, which they did not expect, because this large company invested on, others will have to follow, something like that. All are under cost leadership strategy. Then differentiate a firm's products from its competitors. Focus on a product, a particular segment or niche of the market. Now, these are two aspects which you can focus. You can make certain changes to the key features of a particular product. Now, at present, maybe your products and the competitor's product may not be differentiated. All products may be having more or less similar features, but if you incorporate some key features, so which can change your product from the competitors, so that can be considered as differentiation. And also focus on a particular market segment or a niche of the market. So that is also identified under differentiation. And the example given here is Moen.com. That is also an online company. Moen.com uses online customer design. Now, Moen is a company involved in selling these bathroom fittings and kitchen fixtures. And usually when you buy those items, the bathroom fittings, you buy standard items. So items are available for sale and you go and select a particular item that you prefer to buy. So for those items, customization was not there, and Moen grabbed that particular opportunity of customizing those the bathroom fittings, kitchen fixtures, and so on to suit the specific requirements of customers. So they allow the customers to do the particular customization online. So therefore, that is an example which can be identified under this particular subcategory, identifying a market segment or a niche of the market. Because when you customize those items, naturally the cost will be high, or cost will go up, and then that may not be attractive to the mass customers, and that may be affordable only to a limited number of, say, high-end customers. So, but Moen utilizes this particular option, focusing on high-end customers, allowing them to have their customer designs or custom designs and produce the particular items to match with those requirements. So therefore, differentiation is something like that, making some key changes to the products from the products of competitors, or focusing on a market niche. Then the next one, innovation strategy, finding new ways of doing business, may involve developing unique products, services, or markets, may also involve making radical changes to business processes. Now, innovation is one way of doing or executing innovation strategies, finding new ways of doing business. So maybe your company and your competitors are following almost the same method of doing business, But if you can come up with a new way, a completely new way, that is innovation. And also it can involve developing unique product, services, or markets. So you are going to develop a unique product and you are going to develop a unique service. So you are going to identify a unique market for your product. So that is also innovation, which has not been done by other competitors. And you may also involve making radical changes to business processes. So likewise, changing your business, you can think about changing the business processes. So if you can radically change the business processes, again, that can result in various benefits for your company. So which will help you to gain some advantage in the marketplace over the competitors. So therefore, we can think about changing the business processes radically, also under innovation strategy. In Amazon's online full service customer service. So Amazon, I think, world famous retailer, online retailer. So it provides all services online. So customers can search, customer can purchase, and customer can get after sale service, all those things online. So when you think about these three, Emerson's example, where can we fit in? Out of these three, where it fits best? You have to know about Amazon's history and then what they did compared to their competitors, then you can come up with an answer. Yes, there is an answer given, doing a new way of doing business. Yes. So why? Because Amazon came into this online business with selling books. So that was their primary business at the beginning. And they started that business in late 1994. And by that time, there were no online booksellers. And there were physical booksellers. So if customers wanted to buy books, they had to go to these physical stores. So, but Amazon changed the way of doing business. Amazon came up with an online model of selling books. So customers saw some value in that one because customers could save a lot of money and time that they incurred when they travel to these particular physical bookstores. And so Amazon became a very successful business from the early stages also. So it's a new way of doing business, replacing the traditional model with an online model. So we can think about other areas also if you want to innovate. Okay, then growth strategy. Expand companies' capacity to produce, expand into global markets, and diversify into new products or services. So you can think about expanding your production capacity. You can think about expanding into other markets which you have not operated so far, and diversify into new products and services. So with the resources and with the capabilities you have, you may feel that you can diversify your product range. You are currently producing a particular product or a couple of products right now, but with the available resources and skills and capabilities, you are in a position to move into other products or services. Unilever introduced Sunsilk. So this is a very popular shampoo in Sri Lanka, maybe for several decades, but it has gone into the US market in 2006. Now, Sunsilk has been in the market in these areas, Europe, Latin America, and Asia since 1950s and 60s. Now, then this particular example, where can we apply? From these three, Yes, there is an answer again. Yeah, expanding into global market because Sunsilk was not operating in the US market up to 2006. So they have expanded their markets by doing so. So they have moved into a new market which they did not operate. So they have selected this particular strategy coming under growth strategy. Then alliance strategy. Establish linkages and alliances with customers, suppliers, competitors, consultants, and other companies. You are going to link with others. You are going to form alliances with others. Those others can include customers, suppliers, competitors, consultants, and other companies. So this alliance can include, here it says mergers, acquisitions, joint ventures, and also virtual companies or other marketing, manufacturing, or distribution agreements between a business and its trading partners. You may go to an agreement with certain trading partners. That is also coming under alliance strategy. Walmart uses automatic inventory replenishment by supplier. Yes, then where are you going to fit it? Now, Walmart automatic inventory replenishment system, you may have heard it, but just to brief on that one, so that you can identify what is relevant or which is relevant for this particular example. And Walmart, I think you know, it is considered as the world's largest retailer, and so they have their information systems, and they have their information systems connected to the suppliers. They have their internal systems which are connected to the suppliers. So then when the inventory goes down in Walmart stores, so that is automatically identified from the inventory management systems of Walmart, which is run within the organization. And then their procurement systems or purchase management systems or procurement systems are capable of placing an order with the relevant suppliers directly. So when the inventory goes down, that is detected by the Walmart's inventory management systems. And I think you know that when the inventory reaches a reorder level, so we place an order. So the inventory management systems will identify the particular declining inventories. And then when an inventory of a particular item reaches the reorder level, then a new order will be placed with the relevant supplier. So that is done by Walmart's information systems. But importantly here, the supplier doesn't have to wait till the purchase order comes to them. And suppliers have been given the opportunity to connect to the Walmart's intranet and to their inventory system. And the suppliers have been given the responsibility of monitoring the inventory level changes by themselves. So the Walmart systems monitor, but the suppliers have also been given the responsibility of monitoring the movement of the inventory. Then the suppliers also know when the inventory goes down, and maybe within a day or within a couple of days, the inventory will reach the reorder level and they will receive a purchase order from Walmart. Therefore, without waiting, now usually what happens? Usually the retailer will place a purchase order with the supplier. Then only the supplier gets to know that the supplier has to deliver these particular products. So, but with this particular arrangement, the supplier knows that within a few days, they are going to receive a purchase order because now the inventory is going down and it is going to reach the reorder level within a shorter period. So the supplier gets ready to supply. Even before the purchase order is received, supplier gets ready to supply the particular item because the supplier knows the reorder quantities also. Usually there is an agreement between Walmart and suppliers on the reorder quantities, how much to supply. So then the supply will be ready with the amount of items to be supplied when the Walmart sends the purchase order. So when the supplier receives the purchase order, by that time the supply is ready to supply. So then as soon as the purchase order is received, supply will supply to Walmart or Walmart's warehouses. So that is the arrangement in this particular automatic inventory replenishment system, where inventory management is monitored by Walmart's computers and their inventory management systems, and also the supply is capable of monitoring the inventory movement, and supplier has been given the responsibility of monitoring the inventory changes, so that supplier has to be ready to supply as soon as the purchase order is received by them. So with that in mind, so it's a basically alliance with say suppliers, and also it is not a merger, acquisition, joint venture. It can be like a virtual company where you connect virtually utilizing your computer networks with the with your trading partner, with your supplier to perform your business transactions. So is there any question regarding these 5 strategies we discussed so far?
Sir, for these strategies, do we have any examples in our Sri Lankan context, like for this alliance strategy?
Alliance, we should take, I think, a Dialogue and Suntel. They went for a merger, no? Couple of years back, they merged with each other, and so maybe to perform better and also to improve or increase their customer base and
yes,
yeah.
So something like this Walmart automatic inventory replenishment system. I think in Sri Lanka we don't have such systems.
There would have been certain examples. I don't maybe remind any examples right now, but there can be certain examples where they focused on maybe improving their operations by joining with other companies virtually, by connecting with each other through companies. But I think when it comes to garment industry, they are utilizing this concept, and they connect with their suppliers, and they exchange the purchase order related information online, and so thereby they have improved on their operations, and maybe reduction of time involved in those operations, and also reduction of cost involved in those operations. I think if there is anyone from the garment industry, he or she can elaborate on their relationships with suppliers.
How about Kapruka?
Kapruka, yeah, you can consider under alliance strategy, no?
So they are getting some products from the different vendors, and they will like nowadays like Valentine gift or something, and they are getting some packages from different flower makers, and the arrangement chocolates and cosmetics, and they are packing up to and arrange the deliveries. Like
yeah. It's like some sort of linkage or alliance they have formed with other companies, no?
yes.
Yeah. Are there any other questions or comments? And then I think the next point says these strategies are not mutually exclusive. Organizations use one, some, or all. A given activity could fall into one or more categories of competitive strategy. So we have discussed 5 different strategies so far, and they are not mutually exclusive. So indicating that we are in a position to use one, some, or all at the same time. If they are mutually exclusive, that means you can't use 2 at the same time. If they are mutually exclusive, suppose if they are mutually exclusive, if you use cost leadership, you can't use differentiation. But this is not what is stated here. They are not mutually exclusive. Then you are in a position to combine 2 or more strategies highlighted there. Then a given activity could fall into one or more categories of competitive strategy. You may focus on a specific activity, and suppose increasing efficiency by using IT or something like that. So that can also be related to one or more competitive strategies that we highlighted earlier. So then there is a table. Now, I think I don't want to explain this particular table. You can go through the table and understand on your own. No? Now, these particular maybe activities are the ones which we have highlighted under each strategy. And so basically we say we can use IT to support the particular sub-strategy. So the activities we have highlighted here, and there can be some maybe new aspects here and there, but generally the focus is there. Now, use IT to substantially reduce cost of business operations, IT to lower cost of customers and suppliers. So we talked about these things in general, and so we are in a position to use information technology to support what we have highlighted there, and to reduce cost of operations or to reduce cost of customers or suppliers. Likewise, develop new IT features to differentiate products and services. Use IT features to reduce the differentiation advantages of competitors. Use IT features to focus products and services at selected market niches. Create new products and services that include IT components. Develop unique markets and market niches with the help of IT. Make radical changes to business processes with IT that dramatically cut costs, improve quality, efficiency, or customer service, or shorten time to market. Use IT to manage regional global business expansion. Use IT to diversify and integrate into other products and services. The final one under alliances, use IT to create virtual organizations of business partners. Develop enterprise information system linked by internet and extranet that support strategic business relationships with customers, suppliers, subcontractors, and others. So you can keep it as homework, and basically it is self-explanatory. And so if you have any question regarding these things, how we can utilize information technology to achieve them, please raise during the next session. And we will stop for now for today, and see you next week. And thank you very much for joining.
Thank you so much, sir. See you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Recording stopped.